when a user experiences you, when you interact with your product. So yesterday we discussed that you will not always be there, or you'll not always be present when somebody is using your product. So you have to design the product in such a way that the user will not need you all the time to tell them what to do or to figure things out. You have so once you are designing, you have to put it in your mind that you are not always going to be around for the users to consult you. Then we talked about the importance. We talked about how UX design always takes the user into consideration whilst designing products. Other disciplines don't really take, not that they don't take at all, but the user is not their like main um, what their main priority. Normally, the priority is either to make money or to showcase something or to tell them how to do something, but how to design the product for a user. So you see a carpenter can just get up and then design a table, and then the table has one leg.
Yeah.
Even though it is nice, but it's not um, a lot of. It doesn't have a lot of uses. If you have a place where there are plenty children, and then you go and construct a table with one leg, you are hurting yourself. So UX design brings the user into the discussion. So we also talked about that. UX design is a commitment to building products with the consumer in mind. So it is one of the only fields that before you start thinking of designing something, or before you start doing something, you are thinking of the person who is going to use it. When a carpenter is contrasting a wardrobe, he's not asking whether the person is tall or short. So if you make the thing tall and you are not tall in, if you make the wardrobe very high and you are not tall enough, you are going to struggle. But if you come to UX design, you want to see who each person is going to use it, how is the person going to relate to it, and all those things. So we talked about it being a commitment to building product with the consumer in mind. And then we had UX design is advocacy for users and stakeholder meetings, which is true because a lot of stakeholder meetings always talk about how the product is going to make impact, how they are going to make money, how they are going to make profit, how they are going to launch this, do that. But then the question of who the one who is going to use the product, how is the person going to feel, how is the person going to interact with it, all those, a lot of times those discussions are missing from stakeholder meetings. So if you're a UX designer and you are at any of those meetings, you are like the lawyer for the user. So if they say something and they say that, oh, we have to do this and do this and do this, then you, the UX designer, has to ask the question that how are the users going to um, interact with the product? How are the users going to do this? How are the users going to do that? Otherwise, every decision that will be taken from a product point of view and not a user point of view. And at the end of the day, the product is not going to use itself. So if you make decisions based on the product alone, you are going to fail the users. You are then
Yeah, about
then we talk about where UX is used, and we talk about UX needed everywhere. UX is not only about the screens. UX is needed everywhere. Um, that's a common misconception. I think the first meeting we spoke about this, that UX is not it's not only about the screens. It's not only about the designs, the website. UX is needed everywhere. So the thinking, the decision making, the research, the presentation, the usability testing, the user testing, all those things are involved in UX design. Then we talk about the important skills needed in UX. We talked about curiosity, we talk about empathy, communication, and collaboration. So, curiosity, you should always be ready to learn, you should always be looking into new things. Empathy, you should be able to put yourself in the shoes of the user. Communication, you should be able to let people understand your point of view or the design you are doing. You should be able to communicate it well. Collaboration, UX design, you don't work alone. You work with either a developer or other designers or your program manager or your products manager. So you should know how to collaborate with others. Then the technical skills, we talked about research, we talked about information architecture and wireframing. So research, that's the qualitative research where you research where you find out more information about the problem that you are trying to solve, user testing where you see whether the product that you are using is usable and all those things, information architecture, how to organize your information. So if it's a website, how do you organize your top nav bar? How do you organize your side nav bar? All those things are part of information architecture. And those are some technical skills that we need to know, because you need to know if where you are placing the menu button is accessible to the user. If you place a menu button at the bottom right of your screen, do you think people are going to find it? No. So normally the menu bar, where do we have the menu bar normally?
Yeah, normally the top right corner
Exactly, top
or
left.
yeah,
So if a
or right.
user, if let's say you design an app and you put the settings button at the top right corner, somebody will see it and think it is the menu bar, and the person menu button, the person will just go and click it, because the usual mental model is that when I go to the top left button, I'll access my menu. So all these fall under information architecture, and you should be able to do this properly in order not to confuse your users. Then we have the wireframing. The wireframing is just you designing not fully everything, but just a skeleton of how your final design is going to look like. So if you don't draw a plan, let's say you are constructing a building, if you do not draw a plan, you're not going to like do it properly. So a wireframe is just like a blueprint or a plan for the designs that you're trying to do. Then we talk about prototyping, where you test the page functionality and navigation. You link the various pages and the buttons and what's not. Then visual communications. This is the design part of um, the UX design. That's the layout, color, typography, icons, all these things. Yeah, you find them in graphic design. But then when you take this and you add all the other technical skills we talked about, then you are really going into UX design. Then we talk about the resources, Udacity, Coursera, and the rest. I think I dropped this link in the first meeting. Use the Notion link I dropped in the group. So this is the same thing. Then we talk about Figma, Adobe XD. We talk about some of the differences. That Figma is, at first Figma was only online, but now I think with the desktop app you can use Figma offline. Figma has some great features. Adobe XD has some great features, but me personally, I started learning. I think I started on Adobe XD small because I was used to Photoshop and Illustrator. But then I moved to Figma. But now at the office we are using Adobe XD. So, but you don't have to limit yourself to only one. You don't have to limit yourself to only one. You should strive to like learn a bits and pieces of other tools, because you are welcome, Yali. Or who is that? Is that Cyprus? So,
Yes, please.
okay, you're welcome. You don't have to limit yourself to only one and say, oh, media, I like Figma, I'll use only Figma. Sometimes you get to some teams that they use Adobe XD, and then you are like, oh, media, I don't use Adobe XD. Then how are you going to work together with them? So you get to some teams and they say, oh, we do prototyping in InVision. InVision has some very good, very nice prototyping tools. So if you have the chance to learn InVision, like go for it. It's really good. So you don't have to limit yourself to only one tool. You have to learn, at least you should know something about all the main tools, because it can be the reason why you get a contract, or it can be the reason why you get a job and you don't get a job just because you don't know one tool. So you should strive to like learn a lot. Sketch is normally used by MacBook people, or yeah, MacBook people. So because I think it comes for with the iOS alone. It comes with the Mac. Sorry, it comes with the Mac OS alone. I don't think it comes for, yeah. And unless I check, but last time I checked for Sketch Windows, there was no Sketch for Windows. Yeah. So whenever you are free, you should check out some of the tools. Then we designed the splash screen. This is what we did. Um, Okay, let me prototype this. Okay. Um, so we did a splash screen. We designed it from scratch. So okay, so this is the button. Once you click it, you come here. It does this. It does this, and it goes to the sign-in screen. So this is what we did yesterday. We designed this yesterday from scratch. Um, so let me show you again so that you see what you missed yesterday. Okay, so this is basically what we did yesterday. Um,
But the animation it looks very cool.
yeah, it's we use Smart Animate, and then let me show you again so that.
Wow.
So in all this, we used I think how many we use one, two, three, four, five, six, yeah, six, add 6 frames. So once we come here, we sign in and then sign in, yeah, 6 frames. So we use 6 frames for the animation. It's not that hard. So we redesigned it here, so you can see this one too. Once you click, it goes and then it does. So today we'll be doing the home screen. We'll be redesigning this one. So we'll see how we will go with this. So I'll just go through the basics of Figma, and then we will just start this one. So before we start, any questions so that we answer them before we start going through the Figma.
No, I'm good.
You're good. Cyprus,
Yes, please.
any questions?
No, please.
Okay. Um, okay, so this is just a basic. What's your proficiency level in Figma? So out of 10, what would you say your proficiency level is? Cyprus.
Yes, please.
Yeah, your proficiency level out of 10.
like, I think two. Mine is
2.
the XD, Adobe XD, like
Oh,
four
okay.
or five.
Okay. But Figma is what?
And Figma is like two.
2.
I've used
Okay.
it just once or twice, but because I'm a little bit good in XD, I
Mm.
can actually find my way around.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Once you know one of the tools, the rest become a bit easier. So, yeah. Seth, what's your proficiency in Figma out of 10?
In Adobe
No, Figma.
or Figma, like over 10 is a 6.
And XD?
XD 3.
3. Okay. So you are doing multiples of 3. All right. So we are going to just start this. So anytime you are trying to, let's say, do any design or break down some design, you have to like break what you are trying to do into bits and pieces. So let me bring this here so that we can. Okay. So here you see that we have the text. We have the text here. We have this card. Um, we have this card. We have the text. We have good morning. We have this card also. We have this card. So let's bring this one too, and then we have this. So these are like the main components of what we are trying to do. You get it. So anytime you're trying to do any design like this, you have to break everything. Like else, if you take it as a whole, you are going to like struggle a bit. So what we can do now is let's look at the various tools in Figma, and then we'll see how we incorporate all of them into this design. So let me just draw a frame here so that we can do our thing. Okay. So the first one here, that's the menu. So The normal mental model is that what top left corner you find your menu. So this is your menu bar, your menu icon or button in Figma. You have the file, you can do your new design and stuff. So Figma can open sketch files. So if you have a file from Sketch, you can just bring it into Figma and then open it. Adobe XD can also open Sketch files, but then Figma cannot open XD files and vice versa. Then place image. This place image is the same as in Photoshop. You can just once you click on it, you can bring any image at all you have, and then you can bring it into Figma. We have the save local copy, which is to save on your computer. Save to version history. That's have if you've done a work before and you did changes to it, you can save this to the version history so that you have it as version 1, version 2, version 3. So in case you have any issues with it, you can just go back to, oh, okay, I want to go back to version 2, and then you go back to that version 2. Then we have exports and export frames to PDF. This, as the name goes. So with export, you can export to PNG, SVG, JPEG, and all those things. Then you have edit, undo, redo, all those things. This is normal, like in Photoshop and then Illustrator. But then where we have a bit of difference is in the middle part. We have the plugins. These plugins you can install all of them from the Figma community. So all these I got from the Figma community. And sometimes some people on Twitter will develop their own plugins. So you can like get the link from them and then install it directly. Then we have the integrations. You can post like directly from Figma to Dribble. Are you aware of Dribble, or are you conversant with Dribble?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you have an account there?
No, I didn't finish creating it. I was creating it the other time. So
What about Behance?
Behance, no.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They are very good. Like they are very good sites that you can get a lot of inspiration from. So if you have when you have the time,
Okay.
yeah, when you have the time, you can just create an account and you see a lot of stuff. Yeah. So their preferences. Okay. So the integration part, when you go to Adobe XD, you see Behance because Behance is for Adobe. So their integration is for Behance. Then when you see preferences, when you come to preferences, you have snap to geometry, snap to pixel grid. These things are in Illustrator. They are the same. The same things they do. They do the same things here. Then what? Nudge amount. Okay, nudge amount. If you've not done anything on your Figma account, this one will be 10. This is going to be 10 when you are new account, but I've set mine to 8 because I like to work with the 8 pixel system, like to move my stuff 8 pixels by 8 pixels. You can change it to 4, you can change to whatever you want, like it's your own system. Whatever system you want to use, you can use it, but I have stuck with the 8 point system. All right, so let's go to the tools. Any questions on that before we go to the tools?
No question.
All right. So with the tools, the first one is move. So let me draw a rectangle. Okay, so the first one, that's what I'm using right now. That's the move. It's the same thing in Photoshop, Illustrator, and all the other designing apps. So I'm moving. It's like my pointer tool or my selection tool. Then the second one is scale. Scale is just you increasing the size of the objects that you are clicking on. But you see what happens when you are using Facebook and then you press shift and then you drag it. It expands and it keeps the same ratio of the dimension. It's the same thing that happens here when you use scale. So once I click scale, if let's say I use move and I drag it like this, you see it's going to like destroy the what's the dimension or the ratio of the dimensions. But if I use scale, it's going to increase like immediately. It's immediate. It's going to increase the same proportion. So that's the use of scale. So if you don't want to destroy your design, you can just use scale, and then you'll be able to you can use scale, and then you'll be able to expand your design with the same proportion. Then the next one, we have the frame. The frame is what I use to draw this whiteboard. So if I come and click on frame, I click on frame, I can just draw any frame I want. Another thing is, if I click on frame, I can come here and select any frame that I want to draw. So if I want iPhone 11 frame, I just click on it and I get an iPhone 11 frame. I can just come and click on frame. If I want a desktop frame, what's 1440, I can click on it and I get the frame. So that's the use of a frame. Another thing that we have is the slice. Slice is just like a cutting tool. So like we used to like just cut or concentrate on a particular portion of the design. So that's what we do here. Slice is also in I think Illustrator. Yeah, slice is in Illustrator too. Then the next thing is the shape tool. So we can select any of the shapes here. Rectangle to draw a rectangle, obviously. Line to draw a line. You are welcome, Mr. John. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, sir.
All
Thank you.
right, all right. So we can, with the line tool, we can draw a line. With the arrow, we can draw an arrow. So if you are in the mood to draw an arrow in Figma, just click the. Then the polygon, we can draw a polygon. You can hold shift to draw a perfect polygon. After you draw the polygon, you can click here to increase the sizes, the number of sides the polygon has. You can click here to round the corners. So that's how we can draw a polygon in Figma. Then another thing, we can draw a star. So same thing with the polygon. Once I draw the star, I can click here and drag to increase the number of sides of the star. Then I can click here to either make it bulge or make the middle smaller. So I can do all these. Then I can click here to round the edges. So that's what we can do in the tools. All right, then I didn't talk about ellipse. Ellipse is just a circle. So once I do this for the circle, I can, and I want to do a pie chart, I can just do this and then I get my pie chart. I can duplicate this and then I click just any of the circles and I can do anything I want. If I want to open the middle, I just click the center here and I drag and I can get a proper a circle or maybe an arc. I can get this. So if you are drawing a pie chart, this is normally good, especially for pie chart. So I want to do a pie chart, I can do this. I can duplicate it and put it in the middle. So you can do this if you want. And you can experiment like once you are free and do like quite cool stuff with all these. Yeah, so when you are free, just check these things out, and they are very nice to do. And once you inculcate it in your design, it's really cool. Then the next one, we can do place image. So let's say this square, this rectangle, I want to place an image in it. Then what I can do is just come here, click on place image, and then it will open the dialog box for me. So let me select this image. I just double click it, and you see how the image is hanging on the mouse pointer. So any shape that I click will fill with the image. So as I click this shape, you see it has filled with the image that I was dealing with. So let's try it again with multiple shapes. So right now let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 shapes. So I can go into my dialog box and then select 5 images. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I have 5 images here. What I can do is once I click open, now I have 5 images. You see the number 5 on top of the under the mouse pointer. That means I can click on 5 different images and it's going to fill with all the images that I can click on 5 different shapes and it's going to fill with all the images that I have clicked on. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if this is very useful if you are doing a lot of um, work with pictures and then you just use shapes as placeholders for those pictures. So once you finish, you just select all those pictures and then you use the place image and then you just click on all the shapes that you are going to fill and it works very well when you're dealing with a lot of pictures. It's quite a very useful tool. Then another thing we are dealing with is the pen tool. You should all be familiar with the pen tool. You've all done a bit of graphic design. So so with the pen tool we can have once I click, I drag, I click, drag. So the pen tool like works the same way it does in Illustrator or Photoshop or any other design tool. That so here we can increase the width of the pen tool and then yeah. So this is the pen tool. Any questions?
No, please.
All right. Then the next one is the pencil. The pencil is just to write. So one thing I like about the pencil tool is it tries to um, guess the shape that you are drawing. So if let's say I'm drawing a straight line and then it's not straight, the pen tool will try as much as possible to straighten the line I'm trying to do. You see, so if I do this, you see, it's the pen tool will make it smoother. So if I do, you see it. If I draw a line that is not smooth, if I do this, the pen tool will make it smoother for me. That's one nice thing about the pen tool. And if you want to draw a straight line, all you need to do is press shift and then you draw a straight line with the pen tool. You don't need to use a ruler with your mouse and then you just use shift and then you can draw straight lines with your pencil tool. It is very nice for effect and all those things, but if you don't use it well, you are going to destroy your design. Okay. Then another thing, one of the most important one is the text too, because you are going to do a lot of rhyme text work. So home, I'm going to do a lot of text work. So home, icon, text, and the rest. So this is the text tool, that's the T. This is the hand tool. The hand tool just used to move it about. Then we have the comment tool. So the comment is when, let's say I'm working with you as my product manager and I send you this Figma link for you to check out the design that I have for you. If you have something to say, you just click on the comment tool and then you click on whatever you want to talk about and you add your comments. This is nice. And then this comment is saved. And then this comment is saved. So anytime somebody comes into the design, the person is going to see this here. The person is going to see this here. So once the person clicks on it, the person sees the comments that you have made. So if it's something a change the person needs to do, the person will just have to do that change, and then when they finish, they can delete your comment, and then that's all. Yeah, so these are some of the basic tools in XD. So let's go to some of the secondary tools. Any questions so far?
No, please.
Okay, so some of the secondary tools, these are the ones that we have. We have the align. So if you have a shape here, if you have a shape, you can align it to the left, align to the center, align to the right, align top, align middle, align bottom. So you can have the align. We have the dimensions here. We have the x-axis. So if I increase the x-axis, it's going to move left and right. If I increase the y-axis, it's going to move up and down. So the thing with Figma is they don't want you to be like breaking your movement. So look at what happens. If I move this y axis, you see I'm moving it to the left. Normally when it hits here, I'd have to go and start again. But with Figma, what it does is that once I hit here, it's going to go back to the right. So I don't lose my way. So if I come back here and I hit the end of the screen, it's going to pop up at the other end. So that I do not, I just keep going, going, going. I do not lose my mouse. All right. Then the next one is the height and width. So I can increase the height and width. I can, this is the height and this is the width. This is the angle. So if I put it at a 45-degree, it moves. This is rounded corners. So if I move this to 30, you see the corners are now round. So if I move this to 50, if I move it to 0, it becomes normal. If I move it to 50, so this is where you round the corners. And you find out that I'll be rounding the corners a lot because for mobile especially, because we want things to be soft on the user's eyes. Then the next thing will be the constraints. So constraints, I think we talked about constraints. Yeah, I think the first meeting we talked about constraints. So constraints help if I want to make my designs responsive. So right now, if I increase the size of the frame, nothing happens to this because I've not done proper constraints. So if I click on it and I do constraint to, let's say, right, whenever I increase the size, you see what happens. It follows the design because I've constrained it to the top and then the right. If I constrain it to the middle, let's say I constrain it to the middle, to the center, wherever I pull it to, the design will always be in the center. So that's one thing. That's one good thing about constraints. Another thing is fixed position when scrolling. This one is used when we are prototyping. So when you look at the I don't know if I've done any that you can see right now. No, no, no. I've not done any yet. Okay, let me see. Okay, all right. So if I prototype this one, fixed position while scrolling is just telling Figma that that thing that I click, anytime I scroll, it shouldn't move. So you see this design I've done. Can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
All right, all right. So with a fixed position while scrolling, I've done it on search. You see the search button. I've done fixed position while scrolling here. So anytime I scroll, the search is still there. It will not move. So that is the use. That is the use of the fixed position while scrolling. So let's say I want to use the fixed position while scrolling for this top button here. What I can do is I can just come here and then use fixed position while scrolling. So once I've clicked on the top, this top, hey, once I've clicked on this top and I do fixed position while scrolling, anytime I'm scrolling, you see it's not moving again. But at first, this top part was moving.
Yeah.
So that's the use of the fixed position while scrolling. Then the next one is layer. This layer is the same as the one in Photoshop. Have you seen this in Photoshop before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing as in Photoshop. So this one here, I don't think I have to explain. All of you are top designers, so yeah. So this one just deals with this 100% just deals with opacity. So if I change this to 50, it's going to change the opacity of the my design here. Hey, where is it going to? If I change, let me change the opacity to. Hey, where is it going to? Okay, it's here. 100. Okay. So once I reduce the opacity, you see that my work will start disappearing. So you can, for some things here, you can reduce opacity. So like if you are doing an accent of a color, you do not use the full color. If I want to use orange, if I want to use red, and now so this red here is too it is too bright, I can just use an accent of the red. So I can just say, okay, let me use red with 10% opacity, or let me use red with 15% opacity. Then, okay, even though it is still red, it is a bit mild. It's not like this red that we have here. Another way you can control the accent is just to go into the color and then select any mild red that you want. Then that's all. Yeah. So the next thing is the fill. Fill is the same as in Photoshop and Illustrator. So you can just click on fill and choose the color that you want to use. Um, if you get a color you want to use and you want to save it, you just click on this plus, and then you just click on this plus and you add the color, a new color. If you want to save it, you press this four buttons and then you press this plus, and then you can save it anyhow you want, and you create a style, and then this becomes a color. But if you want to, you see, these are some colors I've saved for a project I was working on. So these are the colors that I'm using for that project. So if I click here and I click this color, it just populates. So this is just a quick tip that you can use to save your colors. The next thing is the stroke. The stroke is like a boundary. So if I increase the stroke to 5, or let me increase it to 10, you see the edges here. So that is a stroke. It's a boundary that you can use. Sometimes you use it, but most of the time when you use a stroke, you see that it will be subtle. So you see that it is like subtle. It will be a bit light, so it will not be distracting the design. So even though there's a stroke or there's a boundary, it is not like taking all the attention from your design. Then next we have the effects. For the effects, we have drop shadow, inner shadow, layer blur, background blur. Drop shadow and inner shadow are in Photoshop. I don't think I have to explain that. So with drop shadow, once I click on it, I click on this sun button here, and then I get the uh, settings. So I can increase my blur. If I say increase blur, I can increase my blur. I can increase my spread just to create a good shadow. Yeah, so now we have a shadow. So you can experiment with shadow. I think this color, I use this color for shadow. What 7080B0. Yes, okay, yeah. So this is a mild color you can use for shadow. So this is also just a quick tip. Then we have the layer blend. The layer blend just makes that particular layer blend. That's all it does. And the background blur just makes the background of what you are doing blurred. So there's nothing in the background right now, but if you add the background here, you see that it's the background is blurred. Then we have the export. So when you look at the export allows us to do in PNG, JPEG, SVG, PDF. So these are the four ways we can export. Normally, when we're exporting assets to developers, we use the SVG so that they can reduce the size without, so that it to not compress it and to not distort the image and stuff. Yes, so I think those. So on the left here, we have our layers. We have our layers here, and then we have our assets. So the assets are just the things that you make components. When you talk about components, you're talking about reusable assets that you have. So how to make a component? I just click on what I want to make a component. I right click and then I click on create component. So as I click create component, it comes here and it becomes one of the assets that I have. So I click on create component. Now it becomes one of the assets I have. So I can just reuse it anytime I want. And then I have my component. So these are all the components I've used. And you can use the component to get anything you want anytime. Okay, so any questions about the tool so that we start putting them together and then we design this? Any questions so far?
Yeah, so is it possible to import design from here for probably Photoshop or the other application?
Okay, so Photoshop is for Adobe. Adobe owns Adobe XD. So in Adobe XD, you can do that. So let's say you are working on a design in Adobe Illustrator, you can export that design. You can just copy and paste it to Adobe XD, but you can't do that in Figma.
Okay.
You can't do that in Figma, but I can do that in XD. So the only thing you can import from elsewhere to Figma is only images, like the proper images, and then SVG, and then GIF. You know GIF,
GIF.
yeah, GIF. So those are the things you can do right now in Figma, unless of course it has changed. But then I don't know. The last time I tried it, I didn't work for me. Yes, yes. Any other questions? Any other questions? Cyprus, or Cyprus is going to sleep.
Maybe or media, I'm here, pa, I'm here.
All right. So okay. So let's start with the design. So this
A
yes.
quick one. So are we to do a follow up in designing as you design we design, or we should just
I'll share the
watch?
link with you so that once we are done with the class, you can practice on it. But right now, dear, we just watch and then try to understand it.
All right.
Yeah. So once I'm
And
done, I'll share the link with you guys, so you will have this particular file to work with.
okay.
Yeah. And I'm also trying to record the session. So hopefully
Yeah, I
today,
almost said it. Please don't
yeah.
delete the
I
recording. We beg you.
yesterday I tried doing it. I finished recording, but then I realized later that the recorder I use doesn't record more than 10 minutes. So it's today I'm using a different screen. I'm using Bodycam today, so let's hope it goes well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start by just analyzing what we see here. So what are some of the elements that we see here? So we have the card. There's a card. There's a credit card, or it's just a card. We have icon. We have the money icon. This icon, the money icon. We have the QR code. So this is a scan icon. This is app. What else? This is water. So the tap icon. This is power. This is church. This is also money. So we have the menu, or the menu drawer. We have the wallet. Because it's a bank app, it's going to have a lot of finance related stuff. So we have the wallet, we have the charts or the transactions. Or was this chart? Okay, this, yeah, I think this is transactions. Then this is for what button is this?
Settings.
What button?
Settings.
Settings. So if you see this button anywhere, nobody should tell you that it is settings. So if you go and one day you are designing an app and you use this for settings, do you think your users will know? So so whenever you are designing, you have to, even though you want to be as creative as possible, you should also try to follow the mental models of your clients. Are you aware of mental models, or should I explain it?
Please explain
Okay,
the
so
diagrams.
so when we talk about mental models, we are just talking about the normal processes that your users use. So if I tell you right now to open WhatsApp right now, and you should, okay, if I design a new app and I tell you to um what I tell you to change the profile picture, what will be some of the things you look for? Let's say you've not seen the app before, and then today I give it to you and tell you to change your profile picture. What are some of the things that you look for, or what button will you press?
So I'll look for menu first, then I'll look for settings in menu, then I'll
Exactly.
look for profile.
Uh-huh. So that's a mental model, because you have that in your mind from other apps already. You see. So if I tell you right now that what else? What else? What else? What else? Okay, I give you WhatsApp. I give you a chatting app right now, and I tell you to I tell you to chat somebody, the first thing you're going to go for, maybe you go to the home page and you see somebody's name or you see their contact list that you can click on and chat the person. So a mental model is just a process that you have in your mind already for a particular task. Let me see. Do you understand?
Yes, please.
So whenever you are designing, you should try as much as possible to take all these mental models into consideration, because your users spend more time on other people's products than they spend on yours. You have to always know that when you take WhatsApp away and then you calculate the time you spend on all the other apps, all those other apps have more time than WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is just one. So once you are designing your app or your product, you need to make sure that it follows the mental model that people have. You shouldn't go and try and be creative. Only you be most creative. Don't A lot of times we don't fight for creativity. We just fight for usability. Once it works, let it be there. Creativity and all those things are not as high as high a priority as usability, because you want the user to be satisfied at the end. So some of the things we see are text. So these are text. This text is what, 16 characters, 16 line height, 16 font size, and we have the pictures. We have this. We have this image. We have what, this text too. This one is what, 31 font size. This one is 14 font size. Okay, what is the? I think you guys have read a bit of UX design. So, what is the smallest size that we can have on mobile, John?
I've not gotten there.
Okay, so the smallest font size we can have for mobile is 10.
10.
It's 10, yeah. So let me see whether I have a 10 here. No, I have 16. I don't think I have 10 here. No. 12. I have 12, but I don't have 10. So the lowest car that you can go is 10. Because if you go less than 10, people are not going to see. And we want people to see. So if people don't see your work, you'll be able to communicate properly whatever you want to communicate. So the first thing, let's do some wireframes. First thing we see is what, the card. So let's put this here for the card. The next thing is what, this picture here. So we can just duplicate this and then make this small, and then we can say we have this picture. What else do we have? We have these cards. So I can duplicate this, and then I can just do this, and I can so you see, even we've not started designing anything like big, but then you see how we are giving the shape of whatever we want to do. So now we are just giving it this is what we call the wireframe. Then we have this one here, so I can bring this here. No, let me bring the top one. I can bring this here, and then I give 4, and I can reduce this a bit. This one is here. Okay, then I have so the way we represent text is by using lines. So I can have this line to represent the text. So that's what we do in UX design. We have text. You can use a lot of text. You can use text to okay. Alright, so what else? We can use text to describe this one also. That's a recent transaction. We can use text to describe this one, the good morning, and then text to describe this one too. We have text here too. Good. You see, so even though we don't have an exact replica of the design, we have a shape of what we are trying to do. So you see how it's like this is forming like um, a replica of what you are, or a guideline to tell us what we are trying to do. So now the next thing, let's move this here, let's duplicate this here, and let's focus on this. So now we see that the top here is rounded. You see, so let's see, it's rounded or 15. So we can just click this and round it by what? 15. You see, so now what is here? Good morning. Good morning is in what? Font 16. So we can just use font 16 and write the good morning. And then we just, let's delete this and then bring the good morning here. Okay. So good morning what? Kwame. Yeah, Kwame is what? Font size 31.25. So we can also make this 31.25. And then we just make this bold. And we have good morning Kwame. You see how the wireframe is helping us like put things in order. So the next thing is what? Your balance is healthy. So your balance is healthy. We just bring this here and then what's your balance? Your balance is healthy. And then we can just remove this and then bring this here. So right now we are not worrying ourselves with measurement and the rest. We are just trying to put everything like where it's supposed to be. So the next thing is this card. So we can say this card is rounded by 10. So we can just use 10 here. And then we have something close to the app. Even though it might not be the same thing, but okay. So the next thing is what? The color is orange. Or it's a gradient. So we can just, let's say we keep this. Let's create this as a style. And then we can use this for here. Do you remember how to save the color that you want to use for later? Okay, so you just click on this and then you just click on this. After that, if I want to use this color, I just click on this 4 dots and then I click on this plus. Once I click on the plus, it will give me the chance to save it. So I can change the name to orange. I can change the name to orange. Hey, what have I spelled? Orange. And then click on create style and then I have it here. You see the orange. So if I want to change even this one color to orange, I just click here, click on the 4 dots and then click on this. You see, and I can use this color anywhere I want. So that's how to use the color. So the next thing is what? The text. Available balance. Available balance is what? Size 14. So I just bring this here and then I can do what? Available balance. And change the font to 14. Cyprus, what is the smallest font we can use for mobile? Cyprus, yeah. So after we can change this to white.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's the smallest font we can use for mobile?
Smallest font.
Yeah, font size.
I think depending on your pixel, but I think 14 will do. 14 or 12 will be okay.
Okay. But the smallest you can go is about 10. That's for
10.
general. But then a lot of phones have their own um, allowance, so it depends. But 10 you shouldn't go. You should even try as much as possible to avoid the 10 import. Yeah.
Okay.
So whose balance is this one? That's
New.
yeah. So the next one is what? Send money. So we can bring this one here. Send money. So we can send money. Then we change the color to white. We can bring that one here. We'll deal with the icons later. But now let's just so send money. Then this straight line. So with a straight line, we can just come here, click on line, and then we can draw a straight line to touch this, and then that's all. Then we change the color to white. Then we change the color to white. Okay, so okay. Any questions so far? Okay.
No, please. Yeah.
All right. Then the next thing we can do is recent transaction. So this one's font size is 16. So we can just let's drop this down a bit. Drop this. Okay. So recent transaction. Let's bring this here. Let's bring this one. Recent transaction. And then the font size 16, but it is bold. So we bring this, and then we can delete this, the placeholder, and then yeah, like 29. We'll have to adjust this. Okay. So now that we have this, the next thing to do is what? Design one of these cards. So right now, we just round this corner by what? By 10. We round this corner by 10, and then I want to use this color. So what do I do? John, well, how can I get this color?
I think you. How did I see this thing? I think you check the fill color.
You check the fill color here.
Fill side. I think then you check the set the 4 dots up there.
Okay.
Oh, not that side. No, please.
Not here.
Maybe for the gradients.
This is the
I
same
think I'm
place.
seeing
Hey,
a similar color.
yeah, it's the same place. So you just click on the plus.
Yes, eh?
Once you click on the
Yeah, the
plus,
plus.
then you just save the color.
Is it gradient? Yeah.
So once you save the color, you just click here and then you click on the 4 dots, and this is the color. So you just click on it, and we have the same color that we have here. All right. So what do we have here? We have the name here, Alexander. So we can let's bring this one. Leslie Alexander. So John. John Melfo.
Merful, aka Truth.
AKA Truth. Oh. Hey,
Mhm.
sir. Then we have let's make this medium. Then we can put this in the middle here. Then the next one we have is the date. So the date is 03. Hey, today is guiding 0509. 0509. Let's reduce this a bit to 14, and then we make this regular. So let's bring this here, center them. Alright, and then we have what? We have the picture here. So let's just bring this at the top here, reduce it a bit. Let's reduce it a bit. Then we have our picture. So we can just center this to make it look more professional. All right. So you see how it's looking like it's how the design is fleshing out, how it's coming to look like the normal design that we did. Just because we broke it down to look like into its bits and pieces. So we can remove this and delete this one. So let's bring a picture here. So we are going to use a plugin. So what you are going to do is to right click and then select plugins. One plugin that I use a lot, it's really good. It's called Content Reel. This one, Content Reel. You can write it down and you can install it like anytime at all. So content and reel, REEL. So you can just click on it and then you get a lot of playlist basic playlist. You get a lot of plugins that you can use. So we have the image. You can use the avatar. So let's click on avatar, and then we can let's say we are using this image. So once you click on it, it's going to populate here, and then you close it. Now we are going to let's group it, and we are going to do some magic. So just group it, we select all, and then right click, and then click on group selection. Good. So now what we are going to do here is to duplicate this. So what we are going to do is to duplicate this. What we can do is you just click on Alt and then click and drag. Alt, click and drag. That's all. Now, one thing when you group, and let's say you make a mistake, and let's say you've grouped it in there, you want to make a mistake, and you want to make a change. You have to make the change for all the individual components. But that does not work. Okay, so one thing that we do that helps a lot is to make this a component. Are you aware of components?
Yes, please.
All right. So component, just click this and then make it a component, and then we can duplicate. So now the nice thing about components is that you don't have to make the change in all of them for the change to reflect. So let's say I want to change this John Merfo to font size 20. I just change it in one and it changes for all of them. You see, I just change it in one and it changes for all of them. If I want to change the color to red, I just change it in one and it changes in all of them. That's because I've used it as a component. You understand? So if you are designing and you are going to use one thing a lot of times, just make it a component and then you use it a lot of times. So that anytime you change it, it's going to change in everything. It's not going to change. You don't have to change only one for all those things to happen. What you here?
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing we're going to do is to do the
Yes,
C.
please, can you go over the components again? My network was bad
Okay.
at that
All
time.
right. All right. Let's do this. So I have this with the inscription Ghana. Okay, let me do this. 50. Good. So okay, so let's say I have this button. Let's say this is a very ugly button. Okay, so let's say I have this button. This one that I've started. Let me just make it nice, bro. 30. Good. Let's say I have this button, and then I'm using this button on a lot of screens. You see, I'm using this button on a lot of screens, and then I submit it to my client, and the client says that, oh no, it's not supposed to be Ghana, it's supposed to be Nigeria. So now I have to come back and then change it on all these. You understand? I have to come back and change all the, but we don't like this. What we like is when we change it in one, it works for everything. So that's why we use components. That's why we use components. So let's say I use this and then I change it to I create a component with it. Now, if I use it for a lot of different pages and I submit it and they say, oh, it's supposed to be Ghana, I don't have to go to all. I can just come here, change it, and then say what? Ghana. And it changes for all of them. Do you understand?
Yes, please. So what's the difference between the component and then the groupings?
The group just puts them together. The component just makes you replicate like the changes also. So if I group it, it's just going to be together under one particular frame or a group selection. So that once I click it, so if I do a change in a group, it's not going to affect another group. But if I do a component and I do a change in that component, it's going to affect everything. So this is the main
Okay.
component, and all these ones are called instances. So this is an instance of this component. This is an instance of this component. This is an instance of this component. About
Yeah.
all
Okay,
right.
so
Yeah.
after doing the components, and then
Mhm.
probably you want to make changes in just a few of them.
Yeah.
Please, how would you go about it?
Yeah. So if let's say I've made this, and then I don't want to um, make a change on this one, what I can do is right click, and then I'll say detach instance. So once I click on detach instance, it means that this is now on its own. So even if I come and change this to Togo, you see all of them change to Togo, but then this one is still Ghana because I have detached the instance. You see. So if I want to make a change and I don't want the change to affect these ones, I just detach the instance, and then whatever change I make, Ghana, is going to affect all the other ones that I've not detached. Have you seen it? You understand?
Yes, please.
All right. Any other questions so that we continue?
No, please.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So, where were we? Okay, here. So we were coming to do the see all. So the see all is what, font size 16. So we'll just bring this here and then change it to see all. Then we just bring this to see all. Okay. Now let's design these. So this one has a rounded radius of 15. So let's just give rounded radius of 15. And then we can put the text. The text is font size of 12. So we just let's bring this here, change the font size to 12. So we can the first one is what? Water. So you have water power church. So we change this one to water. Okay, so let's delete these and then let's work on this. So center it. The color. So the same thing, if you want to use the color, just click on it. Come here. We can save the color, or we can save the color that we want to use. And the color is here. So I can just select this and then select the color. And then I have this. I can group. For the icon here to take a bit of time. So let's do the rough one, then I'll show you how we can get the icons. So let's group this. We create a component, and then we can duplicate it. So you see how easy it is to duplicate, create a component. So let's bring this one here, and then now the pay bill. So we can bring the pay bill. We can just bring this one, pay bill. So we have pay bill, and then we bring pay bill here. All right, so let's bring this here a bit. Nice. Let's make this 10. Okay. So you see we are getting somewhere. So let's group this. Let's make this. Let's group this, and then bring this up a bit. Let's bring this up a bit. So this comes up a bit, and then let's group this and come up a bit. Okay, so now we have here for the nav bar. So with the nav bar, we can just use the rectangle, select the rectangle, and then bring this here. We can just use the color. And then for the icons, so let me show you how I get my icons. Right, the icons you can use a plugin. You can use a plugin called Iconify. You can write it down and then use it later. Iconify. So once you use icon, you can use Iconify to get your icons. Um, okay. So the first icon is what? Menu. So I can just search for menu, and then I this is my menu. So I just click on this, come here, and click on import, and then I get my menu icon. So you see my menu icon here. So another thing I can do, I can use another Iconify, and the next one is what? Wallet. So I can just search for wallet, and this is my wallet icon. So I'll just come down and click. I just come down and click the insert. Then the next one is what? Chat. So I can just search for chat, and then I'll select it and then import. Then the next one is what? Settings. So I can just search for settings and then search for it, and I can bring this in. All right. So these are my icons. These are my. Hey, where's the fourth one? Hey, where are my icons? Okay, so let's go back and bring chat Asayra. Okay, so we bring the chat and click on import. Ah, okay. Okay, so 24 pixels. Good. So these are the icons that we are going to use for our navbar. Navbar is just navigation bar. So I'll just select all of them and then center align them and then tidy them up. Distribute horizontally, and yeah. So these are my icons. Let's make them the same size, 24 pixels by 24 pixels. Yeah, so these are what we are going to work with. Are you aware of auto layout? Auto layout. Are you aware of auto layout?
Game review.
Urefi.
I have the meaning, but
John, do you know what auto layout?
I think you mentioned it yesterday. I was just trying to recall, but I said it's not clicking.
Okay, so auto layout from the name automatic layout. So so we can use that one to just give a layout of our work. So once I group all of them, I see that I would add auto layout. And then what auto layout can do is that if I want to move this, I can just click and drag it, and I can move the places where it is.
oh, okay.
So here, what chat is wallet is second, so I can move wallet here, and then this. That's not the only use of auto layout. With auto layout, I can add padding. Let's say I've used fill, I can add padding to, let's say, 50, and you see I've added padding to it. So this is one use of auto layout. I can do this, and then I can get my auto layout. So I can just come here, select this, and then pick this color, and I have my color. So I just come into here. Any questions? And so I've used auto layout to just fix my buttons. Okay, so let's change this to 20 by 20. I said the 24 is too big. Okay. Okay, so one thing we can do for our auto layout is that we can click on space between. Space between spreads the buttons. So look at what space between does. Have you seen? If I click on packed, it's going to keep them packed. But if I click on space between, it's going to open up the space and then give me a proper auto layout. Oh, good. So you see what we've done here. All right. Good. So we are getting closer to where we want to get to. So let's bring the image here. So this I use a plugin, content reel. I use image and then I brought the picture here. So okay. Yeah. Is there anything we are missing? Okay, the icon for send money, this icon, and then this icon. We can create these icons from scratch, but time minimal. Let's go to Iconify. And one key thing to know is that when you are working for some private clients, they would want you to create special icons for them. So you should know how to do all that from Illustrator, or you can even create the icons here. So you should, if you are not okay with using pen tool and the rest, you should learn, because it's going to help a lot. Then here we can use money. We can search for money and then import. The next one is what? Hey, the next one is QR code. So we can search for QR code and then scan QR code. Okay, let's pick this one and then import. Good. Close. Do you have any questions so far? Or am I moving too fast, or the pace is okay?
Please, it's okay.
Okay, all right. John.
To me.
John, is it okay?
Yes, please. Okay.
Okay, all right. So we have the scan. So we bring the scan here. Let's flatten it and then we change it to white. Okay. Then the money, let's flatten it and then we change it. Let's bring it to white. Okay, so let's change this to 24. Let's see. Okay, so now we have this and then we change this to 24 and then we can have this too. All right, you see how the design is coming alive? Okay, so now just to create some similarities, one thing we can do is just click here and then press I and then we can select this color. Click here, press I and then we can select this color. So now we have some small similarities. Okay, the arrow, we've not done the arrow. Okay, let me use pen tool to draw the arrow so that it's not like we are stealing all the time from Iconify. This, let me change this to 1. Okay, so we have this, and then this. Okay, yes, we have drawn our own arrow. So let's do 2. Let's round, okay, center. Let's round the edge. Endpoint, round the endpoint. Solid. Nice. So you've done our, so you should be able to do this. Not every time you go and steal icons from Iconify. So you should be able to do this too. So let's. Alright, so let's bring this inside here. Hey, okay, there's no space for this, so we can just click this. You see how we use components now, everything is helping us. So once we do this, we can easily bring this inside. and then we bring our arrow here. You see, we brought the arrow here, and then the arrow went to all of them, just because we
Yeah.
did the component. You see, if we hadn't done components, we would have had to adjust everything manually. So now let's change the arrow to red, and then green rather. So we change the arrow. We change the arrow to green. Let's use this green. Okay, this green. Okay. So you see the importance of components. So you should always try to use components for the designs that you are doing. Okay, so I think one thing I forgot we should have talked about this earlier was this. Okay. We should have talked about this earlier. Okay, so we are using a margin of 15, of 20. So we can just use to hit the margin, and then this just works. Yeah, so any questions so far? Okay, so I take it as no questions. All right, let's put the icon inside this and see. So let's use the power. Let's take power. Let's go back to Iconify. Let's say power. Where's the power? Okay, let's use a different one. Let's say what? Shock. No, not the shock. Power. Okay, let me bring any icon at order. Okay, let me select this one. Import. Close. Let's flatten it. Now I bring this into. You see how it has immediately gone to all the other buttons. So let me change this to power. And once I change in this, all of them change. Good. So now when we are done, we can just round this to, let's say, 30, and then we have similar design. You see what you done. So can you successfully do this on your own? With this one here, say this one. So this is the original design. This is our wireframe, and this is what we've created. The other details, they are just effects. Let me just copy them and paste them here. They are effects I did, so it's not. They are effects I did. Let me show you how I did them. You remember the circle that we did? That we were able to cut the circle into, like, let me show you. So if we do a circle, if we draw a circle like this, we can just cut the circle like this. You remember?
Yeah.
So that's all I did. I just took a circle and divided it into two like this, and then that's all. Then I reduced the opacity a bit, and it was able to do that. That's all. You see, that's all I did. So it's not any like big yeah. It's just effects that I did. That's all. All right. Any questions on any tool that we've used that you think you are not getting well?
Personally, I'm okay with all of them, but I think my challenge was getting the desktop app.
What have you tried that is not it's not working?
Hmm. I have the web one,
Okay.
which when they were asking me to log in with some browser, I did, but at that place I saw another option or download desktop app. I did the downloading, installed it, tried it again, and it still took me back to the beginning again, that I should log in with a browser, and then still the process will just run like that.
Oh, it's not supposed to happen. Like, once you go to the Figma, so you can just search for Figma desktop, Figma desktop download. When you search for Figma desktop download, then you go straight to the Figma site, and then you can easily. Is this where you downloaded from?
Yeah, that's where I downloaded it from for Windows. Yeah.
Oh, and still was doing that. You there once when we are done, we'll just chat me and we'll see how we'll do it now. All right. Cyprus, any questions?
No, please. I think I'm okay. I believe I can do something like this.
Okay. So would
Uh-huh.
yeah
Are we done? Or
yeah you can ask questions just to cover what we
and you
said.
see sometimes how this is actually like something of a craft. You see sometimes after you are done with the designs, you
Yeah.
use them on um let me say a design, something like that, just to show off what you have done. Do you do it here or you export them to either Illustrator or Photoshop and then you do it there?
Okay, you can do them here. You just let's say create a new frame. You can choose presentation or you can just choose desktop. I normally use the MacBook Pro. So when
Okay.
I select this, then I can change the color. So I can use a color that I've used already. You see, I can use this. So what I can do is I'll just duplicate the screen that I've done, and then I can bring it inside here. You see, so now it looks like I've just made it. You see, so I can just come in, add text here, that's bank screen design, increase the font a bit to let's say 30. Now let's make 40, and then let's bolden it. Let's make it white. Let's put some other text here, 20. Let's make it regular. Okay, let's make this 25. And then we can just say this is a bank screen design. You see how easy it is? So we don't need to do
Hmm.
any we can do it here. There's a plugin you can also use if you want to. Do you want to use that plugin? That's or you'd like this one.
I think this one is quite okay.
Yeah, so you can do this and then share your design, and it's nice. And you just export it like a normal artboard. You just click on it and export, and it saves to whatever you want to do. So let's say if I save it here, I can just go to my this, see it here, and then you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just save this and then share this whatever whenever you want. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, please.
All right. So this has been a very fruitful, a very fruitful meeting. So John, can you tell us two things that you have learned today? Can you tell us two things that you have learned today?
Okay, so one, I learned how to create components,
Okay.
and then two, I also saw the various tools in the where I saw what you can do with the circle in there. You can draw it and then do pie chart moves. You can make it hollow and then other things.
And the other things. What are the other things? Yeah, Cyprus.
Please me to the same thing, Pepe.
What is the sentiment? What is the what did he say that you agree with?
Copy and paste.
What did he say that you agree with?
Yeah, the tools exploration. I
Mm-hmm.
think I've seen how and handy and simple the tools are, unlike others. And also the components. I think it's a great functionality that should be paid attention to when designing um, UI
Mm. Yeah.
in
So
Figma.
yeah. So this once you know, there are some tips that we have. So once you learn them, you see that it becomes very easy because some things that you have to do repetitive work, you no longer have to do a lot of repetitive work. You can just use the tips and tricks and then you are gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything else like in UX design, not necessarily this session, but anything you wanted to know?
Uh-huh. And number one,
Yeah.
why um UX UI design, and number two, how do you get your customers? How do you make this to use? Like, how do you put it to use after you are done designing something for say?
Mm-hmm.
How is it going to be useful? We know that you are, let's say, you are someone who is not a programmer. So how is this going to become useful?
Yes. When you normally when you are working with when you are working on a project like this, you are not the only one on the project. You are working with a developer and maybe a program manager or a product manager. So
Okay.
your role will be just the design part, and then when you are done, the developer would so we call something developer handoff. When you are done, you hand off the work to the developer, and the developer will
Okay.
work on it. So as a UX designer, you don't work alone. You work with other people. That's why one of the skills I mentioned earlier is that you should know how to collaborate, because you're not going to work alone, never. Because when you design this, it's on your Figma or it's on your Adobe XD. Until a
Mhm.
developer writes the code for it, it's still going to remain inside your phone or your computer. Do you understand? So the reason
Yeah.
why this is important is that you need people who are specialized in putting the information where it is supposed to be. Remember, I
Mhm.
said during the presentation that UX design is not only about screens. UX design is not only about screens. I think it's here. UX design is not only about screens. So once you understand that it's not only about screens, you know that okay, we need somebody who has the skill sets. We need somebody who has the knowledge or the know-how to know where to place information. So you know that when a customer comes here, I want the customer to see my balance first. So you need a UX designer to put this here to say that okay, because the customer has to see their balance first, I have to put it here. Or because the customer has to see their um, profile, I'll put it here. Or because I want the customer to feel welcome, I'll put their name here. Do you understand? So all these decisions that we're taking here is not because it is nice. That is why we are putting this element here. But it's because we want to achieve something. As we go on, we'll be seeing some of the um, decisions, some of the things that we do in decision making. And you'll see why some of the things that we do exist. But as of right now, dear, we are just looking at Figma so that later we'll see the various decisions that or the various thinking that went into certain patterns. Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
okay. All right. So from the question you've asked, I'll give you a quest. I'll give you an assignment so that you see. You look at why Facebook uses the color blue.
Mm?
From the question that you've asked, I'll also give you an assignment that why does Facebook use color blue instead of any other
Okay.
color? So that will be your assignment. You and John.
All
Yeah,
right.
John. Yeah. So we'll see the decision, the thinking that went through various decision making. Okay. Any other thing? I think you. How many questions did you ask? How to get clients? Is that that's the other question, right?
You asked
Yes,
about
please.
how manage.
Okay. So for the client part, that one is there's no like 100% conk way that if you do it now, client will start contacting you. So what I do is that, so right now, because like I'm working full time now, so like I've stopped a bit on the freelance contract, but I still do a bit like one B. So what I do is that anytime I design something, I post it, whether I think it is nice or not. I post it. So the more you post your work, the more people will see it. And if people are seeing it, you are having like a chance to impress some people, and then you get some of them will become your clients. Some of them will contact you that, oh, last time I saw that you have designed this. Can you do something for my company? I've seen that you've done this. Can you do it for my company? I've seen that you have done. Do you understand? So,
Yeah.
so once you keep posting your work on Facebook, on your status, on Twitter, and you are getting feedback, you realize that, oh, okay, people are seeing what you are doing. So once people know that, oh, this person is into this, it will be very easy for you to get clients from social media. And one good thing to have is also a portfolio. One good thing to have is a portfolio. Let me show you mine. Have you seen my portfolio before? Okay, so this is my portfolio. This is my Notion portfolio. So these are some of the projects I've worked on. This is some of the projects I've worked on. So all of them are here. So once you have a portfolio and a client comes to you and says that, oh, I want to work with you. Can you show me some of your work? You just give the person this portfolio link, and the person will just come here and then go through some of your works. Do you understand? So with this, you don't have to talk a lot to convince the person that, oh, you know how to do the work. You just show the person your portfolio, and the person sees that, oh, okay, this person knows how to do the work. So those are some of the things I do. I don't do any special thing. Yeah, that you say, oh, this thing there. Once you do it, giddy, giddy. I don't do any special thing. It's just I post a lot of my work. Anytime I work, I post it. Like anytime at all. And that's what I do. So I don't know that has that helped. Yeah. Any other question?
Mm. Oh, I had one and then I'll try and remember.
John,
Yeah.
any questions?
No, please.
All right. So today, there, I hope the recording is successful. Yes, okay. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm very grateful. I hope you have learned something today. That
Yes, please.
yes. All right. So drop your, okay. I think Cyprus. I don't have your email, so you can drop your email in the chat, and I'll add you to the invite list. So um, you'll be getting updates via your email.
This one didn't come.
You didn't get it? Oh, then drop your email again. Drop your email again, so that's, or maybe something happened. Okay, I'll add you again to the email so that. johnmefo@gmail.com, and then PKL, and then Oton
Yep.
PKL. Okay, all right. Save all events. All right, you should get an email right now. So check your email and confirm so that we are sure.
Yeah, it's in here.
All right. So once again, thank you, and I look forward to meeting you guys next week, God willing, on Saturday.
All right.
Let's see. Yeah, yeah. So I'm still praying the recording goes through.
For weekends only.
Is that?
It's for weekends only. Eh?
Yeah. Oh, sometimes I get back from work like 8, 9. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
we are doing a lot of
I think
new stuff at work, so we are spending a lot. So this right now, there's only weekends that I can do this. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But anytime you have any question, you can reach out to me and we can talk, and then we'll see how best to go about it.
oh,
Yeah. All right. So thank you. I'm going to end the chat right now. All right.
Right.